Hey everyone, and welcome. We talk about emotions in ways that are all tied to the heart, right? We talk about heartache, a heart full of joy, heartbreak. But what if that connection wasn't just a metaphor? What if our brain, the place where all our emotions live, was in a constant, direct conversation with our heart and could actually physically change it? Okay, let's dive into this incredible biological conversation.
So let's start with a really dramatic question, one that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. Can you really die from a broken heart? Can that feeling of overwhelming grief or a sudden shock actually deal a physical, even fatal blow to your most vital organ? Well, the answer, and this might surprise you, is a definite yes.
And that brings us to our first stop. We're going to look at the hard science behind this old idea, a real medical condition where the heart quite literally looks like it's broken.
So let me introduce you to Takotsubo syndrome, which is literally nicknamed broken heart syndrome. And I want to be clear, this is not a figure of speech. It's a very real medical condition where intense emotional stress, I'm talking about the loss of a loved one, a huge shock, a major accident, it triggers this chain reaction that just stuns the heart muscle. People show up at the hospital with all the signs of a heart attack, chest pain, can't breathe, but when doctors go looking for a blocked artery, they find nothing. The pipes are clear. So what's really going on here? Well, what's so wild is the shape the heart actually tapes on. The bottom tip, the apex, gets weak and it just balloons outward, while the top part, the base, keeps squeezing like normal. This bizarre shape looks just like a Japanese octopus trap called a takotsubo, and that's exactly where the condition gets its name. It's this perfect, vivid picture of our big mystery. How in the world can an emotion do this to your heart? All right, let's put on our detective hats.
Emergency! Panic! Someone looked at us weird.
Bro, stop overreacting. It was just a notification. Can we all inhale, exhale, maybe chill?
The crime scene is the heart. The victim is the left ventricle. But the trigger was an emotion. We need to find the connection, the pathway that links what's happening in your brain to what's happening in your chest. Okay, so our first major clue is the body's emergency alarm system. It's called the HPA axis. Just think of it like a three-stage rocket. First, your brain senses a major threat, and the hypothalamus launches a signal. That signal hits the pituitary gland, which then fires off a second signal down the chain. And finally, that alerts the adrenal glands to hit the big red panic button, flooding your entire body with stress hormones. So what does hitting that panic button actually do? It unleashes this massive, overwhelming flood of hormones called catecholamines. Now, these are your fight or flight chemicals. They're designed to give you this incredible boost to survive, a life or death situation. But in the case of broken heart syndrome, this amazing survival mechanism just goes completely haywire. And here it is. This is the smoking gun. It turns out these stress hormones act like double agents inside the heart. One of them, norepinephrine, gets to the base of the heart and makes it squeeze incredibly hard. But the other one, epinephrine, does the exact opposite to the bottom tip of the heart. In these huge amounts, it just stuns the muscle, making it go weak and balloon out. So you get this crazy strong squeeze at the top and a stunned, ballooning muscle at the bottom. And that is what creates the signature shape of a broken heart. Okay, but Takotsubo is the dramatic, sudden shock version of the story. What about the slow burn? That's what we're looking at next. Because the same brain-heart connection that can break a heart in an instant can also weaken it, silently, over years and years of chronic stress and depression. Just look at this number. It's pretty stark. Major studies have shown that if you have depression, your relative risk for developing coronary artery disease is about 2.0. That means your risk is literally doubled compared to someone without depression. And that is absolutely not a coincidence. It's that exact same brain-heart axis at work, just running in a lower but constant gear. So how does this happen over time? Well, that HPA alarm system we talked about gets stuck in the on position, and that leads to this cascade of problems. It causes inflammation throughout your body, it messes with how you process sugar and fat, and it damages the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, which makes it way easier for dangerous plaque to build up. It even fires up the brain's own immune cells, which creates this vicious cycle of more stress. It's like a slow, silent war being waged on your entire cardiovascular system. I know, this all sounds a little grim, but here is where the story takes a really hopeful turn. What if we could actually listen in on this quiet conversation between the brain and the heart? Well, we can. Let's look at the incredible tools scientists are using to do just that. One of the coolest tools we have is something called heart rate variability, or HRV.
Now, this isn't your pulse. It's the tiny split-second differences in time between each of your heartbeats. See, a healthy heart isn't a metronome ticking at a perfect pace. It's constantly speeding up and slowing down, adapting to everything you do. And HRV gives us this amazing, non-invasive window into how well your nervous system is handling stress. Think of it this way. If you have a high HRV, it means your body is relaxed and resilient. It can easily shift gears from being stressed out to being calm. That's a huge sign of good health. But a low HRV, well, that suggests your body is stuck in that fight or flight mode. Your heart's rhythm is more rigid, less able to adapt, and we know that's a major predictor for all sorts of health risks down the line. But here's the amazing part. We can actually train this system. This chart right here is from a study that used HRV biofeedback. You can see a clear, significant jump in the participants' average HRV from when they started to just 4 weeks later. This is concrete proof that we can use our own minds with things like controlled breathing to make our nervous system stronger and more resilient. And it's not just HRV. We can now look directly inside the brain with tools like fMRI. And what researchers have found in patients who've had broken heart syndrome is that the communication lines between the brain's emotional and control centers are literally weaker. You can see it on the scan. It's direct, visual proof that the brain's actual wiring is part of the story. So if we can listen to the conversation, and we know what a healthy conversation sounds like,
We need more feelings. Release all the emotions. Stop clicking random buttons. That's not how life works. Guys, the hack is simple. Just breathe.
the next big question is, can we actually change the script? Can we improve the dialogue? Let's get into our final section and see how we can actively hack this mind-body connection for our own good. I mean, just soak this idea in for a second. This quote basically says that practices like mindfulness aren't just about feeling good in the moment. They can cause real physical, structural changes in your brain. They can literally thicken the parts of your brain that are in charge of regulating your emotions, which in turn helps regulate your body's response to stress. It's incredible. And this realization has opened up this amazing new toolkit for what some are calling dual brain heart treatment. We're seeing this blend of ancient wisdom and modern science. You have mindfulness and meditation right alongside cutting-edge nerve stimulation. We're even finding that some common heart medicines have these powerful anti-anxiety effects. And traditional approaches are being re-examined for their ability to treat both systems at the same time. You know, this is a total game changer. The future of treating heart conditions isn't just going to be about fixing the heart itself. It's going to be about getting to the root of the problem by fixing the brain's faulty regulation of the heart. It's about restoring that healthy, balanced conversation between them. Which really just leaves us with one final, and maybe the most important question. The link between your mind and your heart is not poetry anymore. It's a deep biological reality. We now know our thoughts, our stress, and our emotions are sending signals that are constantly physically reshaping our heart. So the question for all of us is, what kind of conversation are you having with your heart today?